are live.
Awesome. I will share that with the team. Give people a second to log in. I'm really excited for the conversation we're about to have.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, let's get started here.
Yep, all set on my end, Travis. So yeah, ready for you to take us away.
All right. So yeah, welcome everyone back to the Think Tank Live podcast. At Think, we streamline democracy so you can vote for you. It's time democracy gets an upgrade. America's democracy is broken because the voters can't easily see, compare, or coordinate around the best candidates. So money and parties keep the grip on elections. We're building the mission that we're building the missing civic infrastructure that puts citizens back in control. New ways to compare candidates, coordinate voter power, and create people first accountability. We call this digital politics, upgrading politics for the digital age by moving left versus right to people versus power. The goal is simple: better choices, better outcomes, and a democracy where every candidate can be seen and every citizen can be heard. All right, let's get into it.
Awesome. Awesome. So today we are talking about citizen architects. We're talking about what the purpose behind it is, what action items you can immediately step into as a citizen architect, and the community aspect that we are building around citizen architects. So, as many of you know, our hub is live. Uh, Feel free to check it out, hub.futureis.org. And the first uh, section of that is becoming a citizen architect. So we are introducing that and going more in depth into that today. And I really want to preface this with saying that this isn't just a role, a little hat that you get to wear, or a little name tag that you wear. It is really an identity and a positionality of yourself within the larger context of digital politics, and eventually, politics and civics at large. So to begin this conversation, I want to go into, Travis, uh, when you hear the term citizen architect, or when people in general hear it, what does that unlock that the term voter or activist just can't quite get to?
Yeah, sure. Good question. So I guess the at the fundamental level, the idea is that we really want to put the power in the citizens' hands. A typical movement, like yeah, they're most of them are grassroots and they're working off of bottom up energy. But it's still a top down process. It's still like the people at the top of a movement, they decide what their values are, the strategy, and then everyone basically has to fit into that, and then they fight for that. They get handed language to spread and a goal to spread. What we want to do, like, at the starting point, there's, we have to share like what our idea is, but we really want to build infrastructure where citizens actually shape how everything gets done. How, there's so many different strategies that can be involved, from like, social media strategies, partner strategies, and connecting different movements, connecting journalists. There's just so many different directions that things can go, and we want citizens to be able to just work with what they're good at, what they're strong on. If somebody has connections to, oh, I happen to know a couple journalists, okay, well, you can do some journalist connecting, and then somebody else might know different reform organizations, you do reform connecting, and somebody else just likes to talk to citizens and is in a lot of different political groups and on social media, and so they can talk to those people. So some of it is like having citizens shape kind of their own strategy, as well as shaping really how this evolves, how this digital politics network grows, what the priorities are, what needs to be done first. We have a very wide mission of what we want to accomplish, and obviously can't all be done at the same time. So we want Americans to kind of shape what should be done first, and shape some of the ideas they have. Sometimes somebody might have a really great idea for how the system could work, or a new tool to incorporate. and they just don't have the means to do it themselves, but they could plug it in and we can build it with them to incorporate it into this larger infrastructure. So I guess in a nutshell, it's really like citizens building, like we're giving them an overarching like goal of true citizen representation and certain tools to work with, but essentially we want to empower Americans to shape the future of politics the way that they want it shaped, and not dictating to them that this is right, this is wrong, this is, you know, this is the right information, wrong information. We want it all to be in the control of the citizens themselves.
Absolutely. And for me, when I hear voter activist, and by all means, we're not saying those are dirty words by any means. Go to your protest, go vote. But for me, the term citizen architect is different, because voting and, activism almost are one-time off events, right? You go to the thing, you go to the ballot box, once, hopefully more than once, but so right, you do an action and you're done. You go to a protest and you're done. You sign a petition and you're done. So the uniqueness that citizen architect brings is, it's like Travis said, it's continually evolving, continual input from the actual voter, the actual activist, you guys. But in addition to that, and maybe this is a little out there, but for voter and activist, I almost feel like you are fed information. You accumulate information as a voter, and as an activist, you're usually part of a larger crowd, a larger organization that has kind of a united message. And again, not wrong, but like Travis, going back to what Travis was saying, a unique aspect of citizen architect is your voice is the crowning purpose of it. Your input, your ideas, your pain points of the system. So again, not trying to put down the term voter activist, but citizen architect is such a habitual action, and it's such a habitual role that you can always step in and out of, right? And we talk about things like micro actions and things like that. So I wanted to add that into the conversation and maybe get your perspective on that, Travis.
Yeah, so I like where you're going with all that. Yeah, so like, an example for the people is that, we're not telling you like somebody say, oh, well, are you trying to get third parties to win? It's like, well, maybe, but that's really for America to decide. We're going to build a system that maybe makes that possible, but America is going to ultimately decide if it is possible. And they say, what about ranked choice voting? It's like, well, we definitely think flexible voting methods is a better method. Is it ranked choice voting the winner? Maybe. But again, we want America to decide. We're not going to tell America what the right answers are. We want to build the infrastructure and the tools for them to make their own decision. And then, build it. And then, obviously we're not all going to agree on stuff, but then that's where we're building consensus technology that like helps say, okay, well, we might not agree with this. This is the common denominator that most people agree with. So, there's a good starting point of like where most people can actually start agreeing on something. So in all different ways, like another example is, we're going to start building a home for journalists. And like somebody, even today I was being interviewed, somebody was asking, oh, well, so is FiNC going to decide who's right and who's wrong and who's allowed to speak on there? It's like, no, we're going to open the door, but then citizens are ultimately the ones that are going to hold them accountable. So if there's a journalist on the platform, but everyone's saying their information is incorrect, they're very partisan, they're not objective, there'll be consequences. They'll get downvoted and they'll get lower in the algorithm. Maybe they get kicked out at some point when they get to a certain low level. But FiNC will never be the one saying you're allowed to have a voice and you're not. It's building like public accountability, and citizens get to decide who rises higher up and who doesn't.
Awesome. Yeah, and just my final thought on this. Just because you build a stage and provide a microphone doesn't mean you're dictating what is being said on that stage. So FiNC is building, the proverbial stage or the microphone or the accessibility of viewing the conversation. We're not here to dictate the conversation. We're here to provide the correct tools so that those conversations can happen and are happening efficiently. and actually produce something. So yeah, let's continue the conversation. So now that we know who is considered or can be considered a citizen architect, let's talk about what they actually do. So Travis, let's go into, is a civic, I keep on saying civic, is a citizen architect someone, that has the time to be one, the money to be one, the influence to be one, right? That kind of clout behind them. Or, and it's kind of a softball question, or are they someone else? Are there other things that they bring to the table besides time, money, and influence that could really help build the Digital Politics Hub?
Yeah, so obviously it's the answer is that we want it that every American, every citizen can plug into this and be involved. Like, everyone we're all American citizens. We all have the right to democracy, and we're just not being represented fairly, and that's what needs to change. And so we want everyone to be able to plug in, no matter how small. So like a lot of what we talk about are the micro actions, and that's what's on our hub that we just launched this month. The Digital Politics Hub has micro actions on there, and the idea is that, like, we want to be able to do it where, like, even just 5 minutes a day, 3 times a week, there's like a couple actions that you can take that actually moves the needle forward in the right direction. A lot of it is spreading awareness, like the core issue is like it's concentration of power, money in politics. It's both parties. It's a system itself that's falling apart. And so there's a lot of actions that we can have people take that spreads the word in a non-divisive way that really just shows the core problem that is at hand, that the system is not representing us. And it just moves the needle forward in the right direction. So that's like the smallest, and then there's larger acts that people can do. But ultimately, we want to make it that, we say this a lot, that we don't want politics can't be a second job for most people. They have enough to worry about. They already have, people have second jobs. They have a lot that they have to deal with. So they don't have the time to spend hours and hours to do certain actions, but they don't have to. Now that we're at the digital age, there's ways to take smaller actions but make a bigger impact. And like right now, people will spend hours like fighting on, like, debating on comments. That's not really moving the needle, because you're not ending up, you're just arguing with somebody. No, people don't end up leaving that conversation like understanding the other side more. They're in fact, statistically, it shows they're more adamant about their own side in that situation. So we want to help people like take small actions that don't involve having to fight. It spreads a little bit of awareness. It starts plugging more people into a platform of objectivity and like understanding this core issue is something that we can all agree on across political beliefs. And how we have tangible solutions that can really move the needle forward towards representation. Doesn't matter left versus right. It's about representation. Does this candidate truly represent me as a citizen? And so we want these actions to be easy, small, and really just more and more streamline this information so it's easier and easier to participate in democracy, where you could quickly get an understanding and gain the information you need to decide where you stand on certain issues, and so on and so forth. So yeah, just making it easier and more digestible for average people to get involved.
Yeah, and that goes back to the points I had earlier of many points of politics and democracy are one-off events. So, kind of, gosh, if you are sick the day of an election, wait 4 years, I guess. So what are ways that you can continually move the needle, continually express your desires? But in addition to that, I think such a unique part of the citizen architect label or position that people can step into, while it's not money based, it's action based. So these small continual movements of the needle, that's grassroots, right? That is people power. So that might have been already connected in your brain, but we are so big and I wanted to make that connection verbally. We are so big. This has to come from the people. It has to be about a network of trust. And, we're not here to push aside your feelings and give you a message to share. This is just structure and the utility to amplify your voice. You know what you believe, right? You weren't born yesterday. So how do we provide that utility and service to amplify your voice? And so, you know, grassroots efforts usually apply to money, but it can also apply to signal boosting, a candidate that you like, a movement that you like, different people, different movements, different organizations. All of those things are so buried right now and so siloed in the current democracy. So that is the hump that we are overcoming when we talk about inviting everyone to be a citizen architect, because you know what you want to promote. We're just providing the opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then let's go into some of what these small micro actions could be and flesh them out a little more. Three things that, citizen architects can step into is nominating voices they trust. So we'll go a little into that. Signaling what deserves attention, right? So it's not the algorithm or the big money or the, big media deciding attention. It is you, and it is those who also provide that level of trust and amplification to what deserves attention. But it's also boiling down to helping replace noise. And that's something Travis talked about, right? The debate section of anywhere. Noise. No one walks away thinking, wow, that mean stranger on the internet made some great points. So how do we replace the noise of today with clarity? So yeah, Travis, can we go a little into the part of the hub where people who know who they listen to, who know the organizations they want to amplify, how can they plug in today as a citizen architect?
Yeah, so one of the core issues in our time is there's some wonderful candidates, journalists, so on and so forth, and it's the visibility. They have a disadvantage of visibility because they're not part of the establishment, because they're not feeding into a controlled narrative. Every system outside is stacked against them. So even, for example, like a journalist on YouTube, they get demonetized if they're too radical, and they don't show up as high on an algorithm because they're too radical. And so it's basically, if you're not if you're not feeding into the status quo narrative, you're not gonna grow as quickly. They don't completely silence you, but they make it harder. And so example after example shows that there's wonderful candidates that people could get behind, and then it's just the system tries to quiet their voice as much as it can, and it can't at this stage, doesn't completely silence them, but it the establishment person is going to have more money. They're going to have the party leaders reinforcing their narratives. They're going to have the media bias on their side, the establishment media. So all to say is that, so if you have a trusted voice that you care about, trusted journalist, candidate, movement, plugging them into a system that actually has a level playing field. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about interconnecting. Imagine if everything out there, the wealthy control it, those in power control it. Everything from Facebook, all those things are controlled by, big tech. And so both big tech, and then they have influence with politicians. So they're all, they're all moving the needle against what you want. So we want to build a system that's an actual level playing field where your people can be amplified. So for example, as we grow the technology, right now a journalist gets demonetized on YouTube, But once we build the infrastructure here, you'll now be able to share post your content on our platform where you don't get demonetized. The algorithm doesn't mess with you. The only thing that can mess with you is that citizens don't like what you're doing, and citizens hold you accountable. There's no concentration of power to decide how loud you're allowed to be. It's the citizens get to decide how loud you get to be. So again, I mean, there's so many candidates that people love, and there's actually, a lot of the statistics even show that, like, the ones that have the highest approval ratings are the ones that are being attacked by the establishment, because those with high approval ratings, they have a high approval ratings because they actually want to represent you. And if they're representing you, they're not representing the establishment, and therefore the establishment doesn't like you. So building a fair system, a fair platform that showcases all these candidates, showcases the journalists, gives them a fair shake at growing their voice, growing their visibility, gaining more support from others. That is so key to get them to the next level. Like there's wonderful independent journalists that they're going to probably stay small for indefinitely because they can't get over the hump that the establishment built to prevent them to keep them walled out. And then the same for the grassroots candidates. So we're building a system that doesn't have those walls. And so the more people buy into this and support it and build it with us, gives all these people, gives such a bigger chance to give visibility to better candidates, better journalists, better movements, everything.
Something, I love that you connected back to the idea of a level playing field and how that is just so needed when we even begin to talk about civics and the actual structure in which politics lives. So it's not even, I mean, yes, it's about the level playing field, but for me, it's also like a level bar to jump over. You can't pay extra money or earn extra money to jump over the bar faster. You can't cozy up to the establishment to get a voter's approval faster, right? So it's not only level in the idea that it presents all the options unilaterally, but gosh, the ability to win or to get a vote or to get a signature or to talk to regular citizens, that's not, there's no cheating in a level playing field. It takes out the ability for scuzziness that's in politics. The rigged nature of politics just simply can't win when you actually build from a level playing field. Awesome. So I'm going to reset the room and we're going to keep the conversation driving along. So welcome if you are seeing us on TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube. This is Think Tank Live, and here we use the digital politics lens, upserving versus downserving, right? Do you serve donors, big money, and the establishment, or do you serve the people, grassroots efforts, and the actual goal of being representation? So we expand beyond left and right and actually unpack the system and where the concentration of power in politics lies. So FiNC is your civic utility, and we are plugging citizens and trusted voices into our new digital politics hub. And the digital politics hub is where we are beginning to build digital democracy, which will be the future home for America's politics. So to get involved, to get in on the ground floor, head over to the digital politics hub, which is hub.futureis.org. Sign up to be a citizen architect, exactly what we're talking about today. Start lending your voice and help shape what comes next. So as we continue the conversation, citizen architect isn't just a cutesy name we want to give people. It is a vital, both role, but vital kind of strength that is needed, right? It is that people power, grassroots efforts to building a system that is not just trying to put band-aids on the current rigged system, building an actual alternative that puts people and quality candidates, movements, efforts at the forefront. So we talked a little bit about this, but I'd like to go deeper into how does becoming a citizen architect differ from posting online or just going into the comments. And even if you have good points, when you argue online or when you just post, Travis, can you talk about why that has a ceiling that citizen architect can overcome?
Yeah, so for one, you're not tackling like right now it's kind of like half the country is fighting half the country, and it's a false battle in a lot of ways. Yes, I understand why people get so heated, left versus right, but we're all being pushed into this lesser two evils, this false narrative, where if things were just reframed a little differently, it wouldn't be nearly as divisive. And we prove that time and time again with the people that we've been talking, all the thousands of citizens we're talking to and everything. um you know with the language we're using, the goal that we have for true representation, overcoming establishment control. We have people in this movement that are, everything from moderate Republicans, centrists, we have progressive socialists, we have anarchists, some MAGA people. It's proven, we've proven now that the language and battle that we're trying to fight towards doesn't have partisan sides, because we're talking about civics. We're not in the weeds of the politics. Civics, the infrastructure of how we choose our candidates, needs to be improved. It's being rigged. It's rigged against you. It's not about left or right. It's about those in power staying in power. Democrats in power and Republicans in power. We need better Democrats, better Republicans, maybe better third party choices. But so the language we're using is non-divisive. It's still like, it's hugely disruptive. We're saying the system is broken, it needs some massive change. So it's still disruptive, but it's not divisive. Because people across the aisles will not disagree with you. Like, go to any room and say, oh, what do you guys think about money in politics? Who wants to get rid of money in politics? Everyone's going to agree with you. And who wants to get rid of insider trading in Washington so they can't make millions of dollars in the stock market? Most people will agree with you. So that's one, is like, it goes beyond political belief. No matter where you are, even if you're an anarchist and there's a communist next to you, complete opposites. What we talk about, people be like, yeah, I want that. I want a better system, that I have more control, and I want a system that holds the politicians accountable to me, and so on and so forth. So that's a big factor, that it crosses all divides, and it just brings, like, 85% of the country would benefit from what we're talking about. And so it's easier to even share, because you're not worried about offending grandma or your aunt on the other party and stuff like that, because they're going to agree with what you're sharing. But then also, the more people learn about what we're doing, it gives them hope. It gives them a true vision for the future. Like, things are very bleak right now, and yet, like, no one's saying, oh, here's the solution that's rising. Yeah, there's certain movements doing decently and big protests and stuff, but, like, no one has, like, this fundamental answer. Oh, this is where everything is going to go. Or, like, some people say this is where it should go, but then you're not going to get the level of support needed to overcome the establishment and bring people together. So what we're doing helps, no matter what side of the aisles you are, no matter what solution you think is the solution, we want to plug that solution into this infrastructure. And that's also what makes this so key, is, like, we're not saying, like, oh, we have all the answers. Like, no, we just have the infrastructure answer to connect people, but there's a million answers out there. There's tons of solutions out in the world, but they just need to be connected a little bit better, so that there's enough people power under one solution, and stop spreading out into, like, 20 different directions, or else we're never gonna get any of them done. So that's part of it. And then the other thing too is, like, right now, it's, people can come across certain social media as they are looking at their own feed, or however people do it on each platform. With the hub, we have like more of a central hub of content to share out. So it's like, hey, this is an important message, important video to share, but you can share it on TikTok if you want, you can share it on Facebook if you want, share it here, share it there. So it allows you to share where you already live, your platform of choice, but then use this content to share where you want it. And like, it's not even sharing it like anew. Like, you click on the button and you'll see this is everyone that's on Facebook is sharing this post right now for us, and then everyone on TikTok is sharing this. So it's not like giving you original something that you have to share. It's giving you the content, an existing post to amplify rather than starting a brand new share each time. So that's a factor to it. And you know, so there's just in every way that we're doing this, it's just it's really changing the strategy fundamentally. It's not just like, you know, oh, you see something, you just happen by Facebook and you'll share this, you'll share that. No, you could go to this section every week. We're going to keep this updated section of content we're creating, other reformed people are creating, eventually different politicians, journalists, you know, a place to share a wide range of people that you care about. You could do it by sharing people of just a certain viewpoint, or only sharing a certain topic. Not yet. Like, once we have more content, it'll be started categorizing like what specific topic that you want to share. So it just adds better structure. It's a new way to help things go viral and like get people more on the same page of like, you know, this could really help. It's non-divisive, and sharing this can make an impact. And you don't have to dig and find it on different platforms. It's here, and then they'll show you where it is on all platforms. So those are some of the reasons, some of the factors that makes this different. Okay.
Yeah, and as we are talking about citizen architects, we've said it in a previous live or two, but because of the hub launch and moving into the coordination phase, where now citizen architects like you guys can start contributing your ideas, your trusted voices, rather than the speed of FiNC being the speed of the growth of this, it now becomes the speed of you, right? It's about engaging with the hub. And like we said, there's micro actions. You could let us know who you trust, who you want us to look at and maybe amplify. It's all about building this central hub, this community that is bigger than FiNC, right? It's now state, you know, coast to coast, nationwide, for access. And really, this is, and I know it's so silly maybe, and so flippant maybe to say of it moves at the speed of you, but it really does. All of this opportunity is inviting your expertise, your wishes into the larger framework of this new civic infrastructure. And I just think that is so beautiful that, you know, when we talk about people arguing online, or, you know, just speaking louder at a debate, those kind of things stay in that moment. You know, a debate stays within the debate, things stay within a thread, but something unique is, like Travis said, the multi-social media platform amplification efforts that being a citizen architect really provides, and that really does rest on this can grow as fast as you want it to grow. And that is the invitation. You know, if you want to see a certain thing, if you want to amplify a certain voice, that communication comes from you to us. And so that is why we are engaging with you guys on these lives and inviting you to the hub, because gosh, we know that you're sick of politics today. We know that you're sick of the inability of, you know, you do all the right things, nothing seems to change. You vote you vote your values, you go to the protests, you sign the petitions. Gosh, look around us. You know, we're on the verge of how many wars, you know, and people can't pay their rents. Just a lot of garbage is happening, both to, you know, Democrats, Republicans, third party. the hardships of today's politics do not just touch one party. And one party has not shown up and said, we're going to fix it for you guys. So, gosh, with the hub and with you guys becoming citizen architects, that new ability to rise above the silliness that often happens with uh, uh, partisan divides can be overcome, and we can start building something that actually, makes civics and politics more useful, but overall more representative of the will of the people.
Yep. And then yeah, so kind of in a nutshell, like, the system's not going to upgrade itself, and the current system, that neither party is going to evolve the way it needs to, and it's because of the concentration of power. We're not talking about the voters, the Democrat voters or Republican voters. No, it's those in power are the problem. They know the direction they would need to go to gain more support, but they're not going to do that because they would have to cut off their big donors. They would have to cut off their concentration of power, and they're not ready to do that. And so, the good candidates within those two parties, they struggle too, because, like, if you're one of, like, you're the one non-corrupt candidate in your party, like, there's only so much you can do right now. So they need to, this needs to happen we need mass change. We need mass number of, like, choosing better candidates, shifting votes towards better candidates. So the needle is not, you can't just move a needle. We have to move the system forward. And this is how you do that. This is how we bring it. And like, we're saying the system needs to change. We have the infrastructure to change it, but you're still the one to decide where it goes. We just want to build a system we want to build a way to change it. Then you get to decide the future of where it goes. Will there be more parties? Will we get rid of parties one day? Will there be a 4-quadrant identifying system? Are we going to do ranked choice voting? Are we going to do proportional voting? Like, there's so many directions that this can go, and we're not going to decide it for you. We're just going to help you organize, what are my choices? What direction can we go? What realistically has enough people support to go in that direction? And then slowly build a consensus around these decisions. But, like, ultimately, like, the underdog voices need to get seen, better candidates need to gain traction, and the system needs to actually start responding to the people, and that's what's not happening right now. And so, understanding that the system can't change from the top down, we need to step in, and this is how you do it, like, truly from the bottom up, by directly plugging Americans into one infrastructure that empowers them to move it in the right direction.
Yes, and along with that, when we do wait for a top-down kind of change, that comes with permission, that comes with legislation that takes years, if not decades, and that comes with, gosh, convincing those that we put in power that we want this, right? And those types of conversations are not really able to be had in the infrastructure of today. So going along with the idea that it is bottom up change that needs to happen, it is grassroots efforts. It's a lot of people doing a little bit of movements, equaling this avalanche of change in the future. That does not require permission. It does not require so much time, right? That's kind of the joke of government as well, isn't it? It's like, haha, politicians lie and don't represent me, but it's like government, anything with government takes a lifetime of things to do. So gosh, how do we build something that is quick, is efficient, and is able to not need permission to do it? And that's a lot of efforts to change the system can only go so far without the blessing of those in power today. And that's something that we are by-stepping. I don't know the right word. We're stepping around it.
Bypassing is the word.
Bypassing, thank you. So we are able to, with this infrastructure, with this grassroots citizen architect structure, people first hub that is launched live, we are able to bypass all of the rigged obstacles in today's system. So I'm going to reset the room, and we're going to dive further into why this moment is so unique and why it matters. So we are Think Tank Live, and welcome to those who are viewing us on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. At the Think Tank Live, we use the digital politics lens, where you see the concentration of power, if a politician or movement serves up or serves down, power versus people. So at FiNC, we are a civic utility and are plugging in citizens just like you, as well as the trusted voices that you back, into our digital politics hub. And to get involved, you can start today, you can log on today, become a citizen architect today. Go to hub.futureis.org. Start recommending those voices, start lending your name to this change, and be a part of what comes next. Yeah, so continuing the conversation, well, gosh, let's go into deeper. How do citizen architects actually change which candidates, which journalists, which movements actually get seen, and why simple amplification efforts that are there today just aren't cutting it?
Yeah, so actually a new framing hit me today, actually, that like right now politics kind of reflects the TV age. And so right now our voting decisions is around like how TV was the influence. And the problem is the establishment owns the TV world, so you're getting your news from, 6 companies own 90% of the TV media. The party leaders are on all these official TV shows. Yeah, and there's also a lot of digital presence, but a lot of it reflects what's initiated on TV. And in general, who influences voters the most is the establishment. It's a very top down. It's the establishment media, CNN, Fox, MSNBC. Like, they are the ones that millions and millions of people are hearing and getting their information from. And then the party leaders are so it's all this top down. Those with the most money or the most power in the parties or the most media power are the ones influencing most of us the most. And that's why that's how they manipulate us in our voting choice. Like we always say that democracy infrastructure exists in society, but we are manipulated into a false choice where we're feared into voting for the lesser of two evils, not because we love our candidates so much, but we hate the other guy worse. And so that's what drives us to the polls. And that has been true at least the last 5-10 years, in some ways probably even longer than that. And all the statistics prove it, at least in the modern last couple of years. So by changing it from, like, right now the TV age shapes our politics to then actually having the digital age shape our politics would change everything. And again, we're kind of getting there. Like, a lot of people, especially younger people, that's why podcasts are so popular. And like we use social media for our news now. There's pros and cons to that. Some, it's hard to fact check a lot of times, but so we are starting to move there, but it's just like the Wild West of information now on the social media. So you don't know who to trust, and like it's just kind of all over the place. And again, the best candidates, the best voices are actually going to still be drowned out because they're a threat to the establishment. The establishment still owns social media, so they can still influence it to some extent. So what we're talking about is building a level, like a better social media platform that is not controlled by anyone except for you. As we build this out, part of our vision is that it's going to be citizen owned. Like, when you become a citizen architect, you also become a future owner of this tech platform, and you get to be, it's going to be basically like everyone will be able to opt in to get one share of ownership in digital democracy when the time comes. So FiNC's not going to own it. Gatekeepers are not going to own it. Big tech's not going to own it. You are. You're going to be truly in control of it. So, building a platform that you own, that no one else can come and pay their way to move it somewhere, gives you that level playing field. Then from there, now better candidates have the upper hand. Because the better candidates, they actually could fulfill their promises. They can actually say the things that people want them to say. They can actually represent you. They can actually speak the truth about what's going on in society. So that's why they also have the highest approval ratings, and they poll very well. It's just that because of the current system, in the current system, in the TV age, you need millions of dollars to have visibility as a candidate. And so immediately you have this huge burden to have to jump over, and you need millions of dollars just for a voice. And so that cuts out almost all the grassroots candidates. Some do rise because they can build the people power that they need, but it's so few and far between, and it's so hard. So building this platform where you don't need millions of dollars, every voice can be heard. So if citizen architects are building the people power into this platform, funneling more people, that, hey, all the candidates are going to be here. You're going to be able to, see all your choices. No one's getting drowned out by the establishment or any other biases. You get to see all your options for candidates, journalists, other things. And so the better candidates will rise to the top. And not only is it like they're better at like fulfilling their promises, they also don't have the conflicts of interest. And part of that's going to be built into the system too, is that you're going to see like, oh, this candidate says they're going to fix healthcare, but they also take $30,000 from big pharma. So they're not gonna. The chances of them actually fixing healthcare doesn't make sense if they're taking big money from pharma. There's got to be a catch, tied to that. So we're going to make that easy to understand, easy to see when you're looking at these different candidates. So the skeletons in all the candidates' closets are going to be easy to see. It's going to be like right on them. Imagine if it's like, like NASCAR. Like imagine if a candidate, before they get up on stage, you actually see the ads written all over their jacket, and who's funding them. So it's like, oh, I'm here for you. But then you have like big oil, big tech, big pharma. You have all these you see the companies that are buying them, that that's going to influence your vote. So not only there's that side of things, that like the transparency, making it easier, giving all grassroots candidates visibility, giving them all a chance to actually connect with the citizens. You as a citizen easily being able to access these different candidates, see who's running, see what they actually stand for. As the more grassroots ones will participate sooner in the system than the bad ones. So you'll be able to message them and do virtual town halls soon enough, and send messages, questions to them. So that's one huge layer of it, is just having this level playing field, a platform of a level playing field, showcasing all candidates, and then let them rise based on true support from the American people. And then you as a citizen architect, you're still allowed to promote who you want to promote. So you can amplify the ones that you like. And if you don't like certain ones, that's totally fine. You don't amplify them. And in fact, there'll be kind of ways to oppose them in a healthier democracy kind of a way. You could go in their virtual town hall and ask them a hard question that you think they have a bad answer for. Good. Like these people need to be challenged. There needs to be better debates and more conversations and hard questions. So I guess in a nutshell, it's about like streamlining the communication, making it straightforward, like who's running, be able to ask the questions, and like, gee, this candidate, they're in their district, they keep asking this one question, and the establishment candidates are not giving an answer to this question, but this guy is giving an answer and people like his answer. The reason the other guy is not answering it, because they know that they can't give you the good answer, because they're bought out by somebody and they're not going to be allowed to give you the right answer. So this transparency, the accountability of these candidates, the being able to lift all these grassroots choices, all these things start moving those that actually want to represent you, gets a major advantage on this system. We're drowning, we're locking out the noise, we're locking out the distractions, the lies, the misinformation. That's on the TV age. This is this is the future, this is digital democracy, this is, you know, this is where truth happens, this is where the objectivity is built. And so so that's part of it. And then, you know, and then as citizens, there's going to be all these different forms of activism you could do on the platform in a more streamlined way. You know, there's going to be like a Reddit style system that you can, you know, talk about topics with different people and you know, on different policy issues and build a consensus on that. So there's just a lot of different ways that builds community and gets people more on the same page, figures out where, you know, where those common interests are. It's not, you know, right now the system is all about division and pinpointing like, oh, this is why you should hate each other. And this is more of like, hey, you guys might not like each other on your healthcare solution, but here, look, this is where you definitely will agree on things. So let's work on that part. You know, so, you know, I guess there's a lot of different scattered answers in that, but hopefully hopefully it's good for a lot of you.
Yeah. So Travis, I really liked what you said, that the establishment politician, regardless of party, is not allowed to give you the right answer. That was so. I even wrote it down. That was such a great way to reflect uh, the like who's actually controlling politics, right? But for my final thoughts, I wanted to touch back to some things Travis said. Becoming a citizen architect, right, is becoming a future owner. That is such a unique part of what is being built. Becoming a citizen architect, applying the digital politics lens, you become the controller of your voice. You aren't dictated by algorithm or, you know, mudslinging ads or whatever. You say what you believe, what you want, what you demand from the government. And again, this all happens at the speed of you. The hub is live. We are ready for citizens to engage. This all can really speed up to, gosh, the speed of the internet, I suppose. But my final thought is, it is now 2026. Happy New Year, everyone. November 3rd, midterms. That's going to be coming up in you know, faster than we can blink. And that is just another opportunity where the old system wants you to play by the old rules, show up and vote for, you know, the guy or person that you kind of are okay with versus the guy you hate, right? Who wins? Nobody, you know, we're not winning in that. So I wanted to leave on the thoughts of kind of this American value that what we are building is you do not need permission from authority to vote for you in the digital politics hub. And gosh, I don't know what's more American than saying, you know, I have my own thoughts and I have my own vision of the future. I need infrastructure and community to help put that forward.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so for my closing here, yeah, like pretty much if you've ever thought there has to be a better way, this is it. This is how it could get done. This is like the common sense politics of like based on where we're at, the digital age, based on the system that we're in, you know, like we need a new system for the digital age. The old system is not evolving. The parties are not evolving. Again, all the numbers show it. The voters, like a lot of the statistics state by state is that there is an influx of registered voters, but they're not voting. They're not joining a specific party right now. In some states, like Republicans are losing. Democrats might gain a little bit here and there. Some places both are losing, and it's all about independence. So people want change. It's just as long as we stay fragmented and go in all these different directions, there's not enough change in one place to actually build the momentum. What we're doing is building a home for all those choices, all the out of box solutions into one overarching umbrella that citizens own. So that, you know, even if you know, you're going to vote libertarian, your neighbor's going to go more of a progressive person, but within this infrastructure, moving everything towards digital politics and digital democracy. You're moving everything from, instead of power first, you know, up serving candidates down to people serving, you know, down serving candidates. So that is the core, the key to all of it is building a system that works with any solutions that are viable, and just builds a better structure so it's not overwhelming, no choice paralysis, things like that. So this is the future. This is how, the digital age kind of works, of like, consensus building is basically kind of how social media works. There's a lot of cheating in the algorithm today, but at its core, it's very democratic, that if you like a post, you vote it up, and then it goes higher. So if we just take out the the selfish parts of the algorithms, and make it truly democratic, it has a great, at its core, it has great values. So yeah, join us. We're still like starting, really building the momentum here. Like, we launched the Digital Politics Hub, so definitely check that out. hub.futureis.org. That's the hub. Go ahead and you could join to become a citizen architect, and you could jump in right away and become and start doing like micro actions and stuff. We're revamping our Discord now to build that as our community base. So lots happening. We're building a lot of traction with a couple different movements, like Vote Nevada. We had a great meeting with them over the weekend. That video also is going to be shared very soon. So a lot of stuff going on, lot of growth, and a lot of new evolutions for what we're doing. And if we could play our cards right, and we get true people power behind us, and can start really building significant momentum, we can see some change by the November elections. And there's some important products that could be done, like some of the first stages of digital democracy that could be done by the midterms. And then huge changes by the next general election. But we can sway this next election, move it in towards true representation, towards what you actually care about. We have to get over like the lesser two evils and all that, and we have a lot of tools to help you do that. Both internally, there's thought exercises, a lot of stuff to do to get involved. So check it out, keep updated. We're still evolving. There's new stuff coming out in the next couple weeks. And just help where you can, share what you can. And yeah, we'll see you next week again, Wednesdays. We're doing this Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. So we'll be here next week as well as I'm still guesting on a lot of other podcasts. We're sharing that information as well. Cool. So we will see you next time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.